All right, folks. So good afternoon. We're going to get started here. If I could just get a quick mic check, I think we're good to go. It's not my first rodeo. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, cool, cool. All right, guys. So hopefully you got this blueprint over the weekend. I know that's not what we're here for, but I hope you got the blueprint because if you got the blueprint for this weekend, then you would have known that we were opening into a supply zone. We coached that this morning, then looked for the short down into a couple levels, but you got much more than that. So it doesn't look like a big pullback, right? When you look at the market and you think to yourself, well, it's at 42.17, it's up 4 points, but really it's come back all the way from our 42.42 level and pulled all the way back into 42, almost 4,200. So really big pullback. Really nice shorting there for some of you who are using this for futures. Some of you guys said you had your best day. Absolutely think that's amazing. And I hope that I can continue to bring awesome content to you. Matter of fact, I know I will bring more awesome content to you. Today, I want to talk to you guys about, basically money management. Now, as a disclaimer, right, I am not a financial advisor. Matter of fact, basically, my job is to teach you how to line yourself up with the bigger money, right? And that's what I do by using, in theory, supply and demand. Now, when it comes to money management, the first thing that comes to mind should be what? I mean, what do you guys think? I would like to hear some answers from you. Like, what does that mean? Seriously, what does money management mean when it comes to trading? Are we thinking about like savings? Are we thinking where we're going to be a couple years from now? Are we talking from an intraday perspective? I think there's a lot of different angles to look at money management. And to be quite honest with you, it all comes down to one thing. And that's what this whole thing is about for me today. And I want to give you what I feel is the secret to trading. And listen, I know it sounds like a broken record because I say this every single morning. I pound it into everybody's head, but it's amazing to me because I have spent what I feel is an eternity in the market learning over and over and over. And sometimes it's cool that you have a journal. And sometimes when you look back and you have 1,000 pages worth of notes, but you keep seeing the same thing over and over, it's time to change, right? You can only be wrong so many times. And what I found in many years of my trading is that it always came down to what? Can somebody tell me the secret sauce here? What is the secret sauce? Ivan said, somebody said, don't lose any. Well, listen, you're going to lose in trading. That's the first thing I want you to get used to. Definitely going to lose in trading. It's all about allocation. It's all about allocation. That is the secret sauce. As I was saying this morning, I could teach you how to find some of the most explosive turnaround points in the market. I feel very confident in that. Okay. Everybody understand that? I could teach you to find the best levels out there. I know for a fact I can. Okay. How you trade them and execute them comes down to you and your own personal comfort zone. Everybody is different. That's why I can't stand when people are like, hey, what exactly are you doing? What exactly should I do? You shouldn't ask those questions. What you should learn is a process. And then when price gets there, how to execute it, how to stay in that position. But during that time, can you do it at a Zen state? And the secret sauce, in my opinion, is trading with what you're comfortable with losing. Everybody understand that? Because at the end of the day, you have no idea whether or not your trade is going to work for you or you don't. The best thing that we can do is plan in advance. We can tell ourselves, hey, this is how much I'm going to lose in my trade. So earlier on in my career, right, if you don't know anything about me, I owned Trendy Trading for almost 7 years. And before I even owned it, I said, you know what, I'm going to do a beta room, right? And I had this beta room where it was free and everybody came in. It was like 1,000 people. And I was overwhelmed. I was like, "Holy cow. Like this is a lot of questions, a lot of people." And it was just me. And I honestly, it was a very humbling experience, but I learned very quickly, okay, that people, traders, you and I are not comfortable with trading, right? You have to do what's uncomfortable. That means just executing. And I find that all you need, all right, is a mouse to execute that trade. How do you find peace at letting the market do what it's going to do? You have to be okay with your allocation. So let's talk about allocation really quick. So what does that mean? So I have some rules. For example, any SPX trade that I personally take, I only trade what I'm willing to lose. Sometimes you may see me take one contract for 50 cents. That means I'm willing to lose 50 bucks on that trade. I let the market kind of do what it's going to do, right? I have levels, I execute at those levels, and I look to see if we can close where where I think we're going to close, whether it's a butterfly, a debit spread, or something like that. This has been my experience that I can hold SPX and do much better if I can trade with what I'm willing to lose. Does everybody understand that? I'm not saying you have to do this, but that's what I'm able to do. Okay. And so it would not make sense for me to go out and say, hey, folks, if I'm going to risk 2% of my account in this trade, you should risk 2% in your account because you have a $5 million account and I might have a $500 account, right? So things are different for each person. This is kind of an interesting story as well. Over my long period of time, I've come across a lot of traders. I used to speak to traders on the phone and we would talk back and forth about our plans and so forth. And I came across many traders who have plus $1 million accounts, and you would be shocked. A lot of times, those traders with even the big, large accounts are still not even comfortable with losing a couple $100. Most cases, people have been so burnt in the market that they actually don't trust anything. It's hard. Okay. And then when the time comes and the opportunity is there, they have a hard time staying in the trade. So once again, it's all about allocation. If you put the allocation in that you're used to trading with, it's a lot easier to sleep at night, folks. It's a lot easier to let your trades work out for you. So what does that mean? For me, folks, depending on the conditions, okay, I'm trading anywhere from $500 to $2,000. And if I'm okay with it, with a loss, then I could tell myself, hey, 50 bucks, 150 bucks, $250. So this is what I'm going to share with you. Okay. For my trading, what I personally do, okay, is I have like a threshold, right? And it is like this. My trades can be anywhere between 500 to $2,000. Okay. Now, what if I take a trade that I feel the market conditions, for example, today, we expect a little bit of choppiness, a little bit of down. What if I'm going to the upside? Okay. Well, what I can do is out of this amount of money, okay, it's two different things here. Out of the money that you're willing to put in a trade, how much are you willing to lose in it? So I know I said, hey, be comfortable with a loss, but okay, let's back up a little bit. During the intraday, I cannot, okay, I cannot, I cannot say exactly how much I'm going to lose overnight, but during the intraday, I can be responsible of my money. And that's what today is all about. It's about your risk, about your tolerance. There's so much more to it than just the word money management. So, what I can do is teach you how I come in every single day and I think about this from my portfolio perspective. Okay. If I have $100,000 in the account and I say, hey, no matter what, I will never have more than 10% of my money in any sort of intraday trading. Okay. Or maybe I don't want any more than 10% for swing trading. These are just numbers that I'm using with you. Okay. What I like to do is I like to say how much I'm willing to lose. How much are you willing to lose? Can anybody out there tell me? This isn't like information that somebody's going to take from you and, steal your identity. But I'm curious, do you know how much you are willing to lose every night? Every day, every time you take a trade, what are you willing to lose? 1%? $1,000? That's great. Okay? That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's different for every single person. So when I come into the market, I always think, how much can I lose? Just because I take a $2,000 position doesn't mean I'm okay with losing 2,000. Intraday trading and swing trading are different for me. Let's say that $2,000 is a max position size for me. Intraday, let's say that I'm only willing to lose $500. That doesn't mean that I will only put on a $500 trade. It just means if I put a $2,000 trade on, I'm only willing to lose 500 of that 2,000. If I'm swing trading, let's say that 2,000 is my number to get to. Typically, for me, and you guys will learn this, and I'll just show you as a hypothetical. If this were a swing trade for me, I may say something like this. Hey guys, I'm going to layer into this position. My first entry is going to be the support zone. My second entry is going to be the demand zone. And then my third entry is going to be this pivot low here. I have a plan. And what I'll do is I layer into that position up to $2,000. Okay. Does that make sense? Again, I will layer in. So supply versus intraday is completely different for me. All right. I like to hold for a long time. It's not for everybody, but it's one of my favorite things to do. And what I notice across the board when it comes to overall allocation and what we're looking to do in the market, you have to have a plan. So going back to this whole money management thing, it sounds great. But without a plan, nothing is easy in trading. But plans make it so much better. It makes everything more consistent. It makes you not have so much FOMO. It makes you patient. I love it. It's methodical, it's sequential, it's everything that I talk about. So you got to have all these things. See, it's very difficult for me just to say, "Hey, this is risk management 101, and you should only lose up to 2%." And that's great and dandy, but the problem is, first of all, do you have a good strategy? Does your strategy win more than you lose? How many of you thought, hey, I think risking 2% is really low on my trades? And then you find out that you don't really have a good process or you don't have a good strategy. And that 2% ends up being 50% of your account one day. And you're looking back and going, man, I had a plan that I would only lose more than 2%, but I've lost 50% of my account. Now looking back, I don't actually have a good strategy. I'm like one of those, it's complex for me because I want to make sure before I talk about any of this that you actually have a good strategy. Because if you don't have a good strategy and your plan is to take 2%, 1% losses, and every time you take a trade, you're losing 60, 70% of the time, how do you think you're going to do, folks? You hear what I'm saying? Seriously, can any of you guys resonate with that? Because that's how I started out. Is I had all these numbers in my head. Matter of fact, someone told me, hey, these are the percentages you should be okay with losing. But then I found out very quickly I wasn't actually trading a good strategy. So, one, get yourself a good strategy that's winning more than you're losing. All right. And I'm sure, I've heard the stories, guys. Some people even say it in here. Some people, they only win 2 times out of 10, but they're still profitable. That's great. But how many people that are new at trading give up after 8 losses? Many. Okay. I don't ever want to put somebody in a position where we lost 8 times in a row. That's absolutely insane to me. Okay. That includes my future trades and everything else. We have a high win percentage. So if you got yourself a high win percentage, now it comes down to having the confidence to execute that trade. And what I feel gives you a lot of confidence is going to be the fact that you've already told yourself what you're willing to lose. So every day I come into a trade and I'm looking at the chart. Okay. For example, we're looking at this chart and I say to myself, I want to go long here with a bracket order of so and so. I'm able to put it together and I know exactly how much I'm going to lose before I take the trade. It's the same way with options, folks. Let me show you. Okay. Let's go to Apple. I haven't even looked at Apple this morning. Let's look at Apple on the 5 minute. If you guys know about one of my intraday tradings, it is the PMZ trade. It's called the pre-market zone. Okay. And basically what we do is we go long above and we go short below. Okay. So for example, if today I woke up and I said to myself, hey, I'm going to go long over Apple right here at 177.91. And let's say I look up, for a target up here and I say 178.91. I just want $1. So my risk is 28 cents and my reward is $1. The cool thing about this is you can understand if I were to take this trade with equity and I took 100 shares, if I were to get stopped out, it would be 30 bucks. Okay. So I take the trade on a break of the PMZ. I ride this up. I hit my dollar target. Boom. I take my profits. This time I don't lose 30 bucks on 100 shares. Okay. Everybody understand that? Now, what about options? What about options? If you did a Delta 50, and the underlying equity dropped 30 cents, you could do the math and understand how much you're going to lose if you get stopped out. So what the way I want you to start thinking, folks, is before I take my trade, I'm okay with my allocation, I'm okay with a loss, and I know where my stops are. All of those combined make me very disciplined, but also very confident. Also makes you very consistent in your trading. Let's look over here at the ES futures this morning. Now we talk about the ES and how to trade this. We use the blueprint every single morning. All right. And you can trade the SPY and the SPX out of this. Our plan today was to go long above or short below. Notice that when we open up, we didn't go long above. We actually broke down, went to the downside, and many traders went short. Okay. Now, funny enough, I sold Tesla for 200%, and I actually didn't get the opportunity to short. I actually went long and made money to the upside. I made money down here at one of my levels. Okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. A lot of people ask me, hey, John, how much do you trade futures? Well, honestly, as much as I can. But I'm so busy teaching and also in other trades, it just kind of depends. But what I do know is that this trade right here, guys, was planned with the options room and here at the Tr3ndy trading room in Simpler. And what we did know is what risk was this morning and what our reward was to the downside. And we had some other targets here to the downside. Okay. This is what risk management, money management looks like. It starts with a plan, not, hey, I think I'll just risk 1% or 2% or 5%. What does your plan look like? What does your plan look like? Then we can start going off of that. Does that make sense with you guys? So listen, when I first started, okay, when I first started, what does that mean? For me, I didn't have a plan. All I could see were dollar signs. And every time I would take a trade, all I could see was me making money and how I could use that money. I didn't really think about the idea that I could be wrong. right? How many of you guys take trades and you think about the win before you think of the loss? Any of you? Anybody in here? Does anybody think about the win versus the loss? Any of you guys do that? You guys do, right? And I learned this from Mark Douglas. Okay. Spencer, Leslie, Bob, Kurt, Strider, Sophia, all you guys. You always think about it. Think about it. Right before you take a trade, you think about the win. But RJ says, nope, always potential loss first. Secondary exits second. Profit third. I love that. Every time before I take a trade, I think about the loss. That's what it's all about. Okay. And yeah, so Martin, sorry, I'm looking at two different places here. Give me 1 second. So if we come over here and you take a look here. So a lot of things, Martin, I'm not sure. Are you in the room over here? Martin B? Trying to see if you're there. Oh, Martin, there we go. Okay, cool. There you are. So one thing I just want to show you guys really quick. So part of my trading room here at Simpler is that we have API alerts. Nobody else is doing this. Do any of you know what an API alert is? Like, do you really understand like what it means? I feel like sometimes when I talk about it, we still don't know what it means. Do you guys know what an API alert is over in the training free room? Okay. So as soon as I take a trade from Thinkorswim, it is sent here within milliseconds. Okay. I do not write it out. Okay. It's literally sent here. Okay. This does a lot of different things for me. It keeps me from, well, first, you get to see everything I do. All right. It's as transparent as I could be. There's nothing more transparent, to be very honest with you. It tells you the exact time of when I'm taking these trades and the price. So your question was, and just so you can understand, okay, was this trade on my SPX? I don't know if you listened to me this morning. I ended up taking that trade and I traded it from a Zen state of one contract. So the cool thing here at Simpler Trading is I'm using the quantity, which is very, very helpful for traders. Okay. So, Martin, to answer your question, if you saw me taking trades anywhere from 250 to 500 to 2000 or anything like that, and then you saw me come in and take a SPX butterfly and I bought one and the price was at 85 cents, what do you think would be the answer to your question, Martin? I just want to see how how this helps. I want to show you how this helps. Does that help? Right? So the cool thing about these, one, I don't have to take the time to write stuff out. All right. Second, I don't cherry pick anything. You get to see exactly what I trade. All right. This is coming straight from my real account. All right. Third, it's pretty straightforward to understand. You can see how many I have and so forth. For example, when Tesla opened this morning, you would see here that I trimmed at 102% and I still had quantity of one left. You see prices go up. We sell the next one at 205%. We have zero remaining. Here, you can see that I took SPX, okay? And you can see how much I paid for it. It's 85 bucks. What I pay on SPX is what? Everything I buy on SPX, I'm willing to lose. That's how I trade it. I feel very comfortable trading it this way. Every SPX I take, what I risk is what I risk is, what I'm willing to lose. Okay? That really like helps. That's my process, you know, especially when it comes to SPX. All right. Pretty awesome, right? I love the alerts. So the alerts are just my favorite thing, and we'll talk about that during the webinar on Wednesday. And if you guys didn't know, I have a webinar on Wednesday, and we'll be talking through supply and demand and the trendy methodology. Okay. So the trendy methodology and basically how I came about it, where it resonated from, my true passion that got me really lit up and ready to trade it. I'm going to talk about all that stuff. Okay. And hopefully it is able to help you guys quite a bit with understanding a little bit more about me. Okay. So back to risk management. What else do you guys think is really important about risk management? I want to hear it from you guys. What do you think? What else do you guys think that's really important about risk management? RJ. Anybody? Any of you guys got anything else that you think would be important when it comes to trading? What do you think? There's no wrong answers. Everybody's different. That's the beautiful thing about trading, right? Is your risk tolerance may be different than my risk tolerance. But at the end of the day, the secret sauce, in my opinion, is being comfortable with your allocation. Now, what are some tips and tricks that I could show you as well? Right? Tips and tricks would look something like this. As I said, if I'm taking a swing trade, I layer into the amount that I'm willing to have in that trade. The biggest thing that I wish I could have learned years and years ago was the difference between intraday versus swing. Intraday, I really like because you're able, especially in the options world, you can maintain and manage your risk. Okay. That means I can watch it through the day. I can place stops. But when you take trades at night and you sleep with that trade, you are committed to that trade. Anything can happen. I could take a $2,000 position tonight and it could be gone for the most part tomorrow. But intraday trading is all about money management. What are you willing to lose? Are you taking trades at the levels? If you could take trades at the levels, let me show you for example. If this was our plan today to go short underneath here, and I know many of you did, what is your risk management? What can you do to make sure that you're not losing more money than you had already planned? You look up here and go, okay, the risk is 4.5 points. What is my risk there? Let's say that your risk is $500. Okay. Now, if you're ES futures trader, then you know if we rounded this to 5 points, that would be $250 if I'm wrong. Okay. Every point is 50 bucks. Let's round to five. So what could I do here? I could take two contracts, folks. Two contracts. Okay. If I were stopped out, boom, I lose $500. That's how a plan looks with your risk management. Okay. Everybody understand that? Everybody understand that? Now, what if it went against me? I get stopped out. That's how I manage my money. It's really interesting as I sit here and talk to you about this because no matter what, am I comfortable with my plan? Yes. Do I already know how much I can lose? Yes. So, what is there to do? What is the last thing I need to do here? Execute. Mark, great question. What's your reward? Automated levels. Okay. On my screen, we show you how to find supply and demand. So that would be your reward, Mark. Okay. That's one. You would find the levels. Let's say you don't have any indicators. What can you use? You could use support resistance lines. Okay. We use trendy edges that find supply and demand. We can use the line in the sand, which is right here. And we use the blueprint. So, for example, this morning we had other levels on here, but this is what it looks like from a 4 hour perspective. Our coaching this morning, Mark, looked like this. Hey, you're coming into a supply zone. And if you watch my video over the weekend, which was also free, okay, for you guys to watch, I talked about this. There's a lot of indicators showing that, hey, we're a little exhausted up here. And I can't help but to see that the masses were super bullish. That's not the reason why I'm going against it, though. The reason why I'm going against it is because we failed to make new highs. We could not jump a above this liquidity grab. We made lower highs, and now we find ourselves at support. Okay. Notice over here, and I'll be talking about this on Wednesday night. Notice this explosive move. Okay, folks, this is what we're looking for. The timing is the variable, how long it takes to get there. All right. So, again, a solid plan. We've also instructed this morning, and I have not derailed from this, that the cloud is a short every time price gets there until it changes. This is a plan. Let me show you really quick. What does money management look like in a plan when trading the cloud? We simply come up here, we measure the cloud, boom, boom. These are two numbers, 4213.73 by 4218.53. That is 5 points, folks. Again, 5 points when rounded up. Every trade today should be a 5-point stop. Not only does it work here, but it's working here. This is a plan. If price gets down to 41.97, I could have a plan to go long with futures again with a 5-point stop. This is a plan. Let me show you. Green, entry. Red, stop. Target would be the 23 or 38% once we get there. So for me, guys, what I typically would do here is I would use this formation. Okay, I'm going to come up here. I'm going to measure. And actually, I'm going to measure from the most recent inside and down. I'm going to do something like this. Okay, and I can already pre-plan my trade. Long here, stop at 5, and my reward is 23 and the 38.2. Does it make sense before I take the trade? If I go at long at 97, get out at 01 and 04, what is my reward? See, I can do all this before I actually get into a trade, and that's what separates me from many, many traders, is we are pre-planning. And the cool thing about it, you already know how much you're going to lose. That, again, is the secret sauce. So tonight, guys, your assignment for yourselves is to think about, what is it that I need to do to find myself at a Zen state? I'm here to tell you right now, I've watched many, many traders. You do not need a ton of money to make money in the market. You need a plan, and you need to be able to trade without fear. News is just a catalyst that creates both greed and fear. They push price to our supply and demand zones. We wait for price to get there, and then we execute with the idea of how much we can lose. We already understand our rewards, and we execute the trade. We are becoming more mechanical and less emotional. Let the old you be emotional. Let the new you become more mechanical and learn what it's like to trade off of really good levels. Okay? And another thing about money management before I jump out of here is, one thing that I like, it's like when I come in on the day, if I'm already profitable and I'm looking at this SPX trade, and I just want to show you guys really quick. I came in and already sold my Tesla and made money. No matter what, even if the SPX doesn't work out by the end of the day, I still don't lose my profits for today. That is another thing I'm always looking at. Okay. For example, if I came in today and I am up $500 and I think, okay, well, the market's coming down, it's coming into a level, I'm going to take a deficit of $85 on my butterfly that I have no idea if it's going to win, but I do know how much I can lose. Do I still end up making money at the end of the day? The answer is yes. That's another thing that I like to do. Okay. I don't like to give away my profits when I have them. It does happen sometimes. I can't avoid all those things, but that's one way that really makes me stronger. Okay. All right, guys. So before I jump off here, there's a lot more to it, than that. But I also would love to, if you guys had any more questions, just let me know. But other than that, that's all I really have about that. And to kind of summarize here, you guys can see I'm big on planning, I'm big on patience, and then I'm big on trade with what you're willing to lose. That really helps in the long run. If you got yourself a good strategy, it's going to work for you. If you have yourself a bad strategy and you find yourself losing more than you're winning, come check me out. We have a very high win rate, and I'd be happy to share it with you.